This is the context section for stage 2. In this video, I will give a brief overview of the context in the section, looking particularly at aspects of Roman food, dress, and daily life. The Roman day began very early compared to our modern understanding of a typical day. Without an efficient lighting system, in houses or on the streets, the safe and practical time to get up and go to work was at sunrise. Caecilius would have started his day with a breakfast called a ientaculum that was extremely small. The meal may have been a few small staples like bread, water and some cheese. Water collected from a nearby pump would have been used to wash one's hands and face. Breakfast overall was an uneventful and unceremonialized time of the day that simply acted as a gap between sleep and work. Caecilius' dress included a tunic as an undergarment that looked like a t-shirt of roughly spun wool. On top was a folded toga that only Roman citizens, and therefore not slaves, were allowed to wear. Caecilius may have gone to a barber to shave before taking a visit to the public baths in the afternoon to socialise, exercise and unwind. Caecilius' business hours would start within his own house, where he would receive customers known as clientes to loan money to. These clients tended to be low-ranking plebeian citizens or recently freed slaves. Their relationship meant that Caecilius would support his clients if they ran into any financial issues or issues repaying their debt. Equally, the clients would support Caecilius in public occasions or as his employees when he needed them. Afterwards, Caecilius would continue to trade and bank in the forum until the end of the working day. Women, as mentioned in the last video, didn't have the same freedom of will as nowadays. In fact, their role at the time really didn't shift from how it was then to quite recently, thousands of years later. Roman women were still strong, commanding figures within a household that ruled with a proverbial iron fist. Matilda's clothing included a stola, a type of long tunic, and a shawl over the top if she needed to leave the house. Maids called ancillae would help her put her makeup and jewellery on in the latest styles as well. Rich Roman women surprisingly had access to many cosmetics that we might think of as modern invention, such as mascara and foundation that they used to achieve their desired look. After breakfast, Caecilius would also have an equally small lunch. This may include a meat dish with some fruit for dessert. Business would soon end after lunch, and Caecilius could then have an afternoon siesta, a short nap. That meant Roman business hours tended to be very short. Upon a daily visit to the baths, Caecilius would return home to dinner being served by his cook Grumio. The emphasis in the Roman routine when talking about food was dinner. The event was extremely ritualized and held in an ornately decorated dining room called a triclinium. The family would recline horizontally in chairs around a central circular table. Slaves would serve and cut up their food so it could be eaten with one hand. This cutting of food had also had the positive side effect of cutting down on the indigestion experienced by eating this way. In the summer, dinner was eaten in a second dining room looking out onto the garden. Grumio would attempt to show off his cooking ability at these meals, and forms of entertainment such as dancers could be present to entertain guests. The famous Roman cookbook by Apicius even records a proto-burger, a Roman burger really, being cooked by the Romans, made of pine nuts, beef mince, pepper and the iconic garum. Garum in particular was a popular sauce at the time with a unique taste, made quite unbelievably of fermented fish guts. Wine was the favourite drink of the Romans, and the valleys of Campania, the region of Italy that Pompeii is in, are still large grape-producing regions nowadays. Among the patrician upper-class class of Romans, fine wines were in vast quantity at the dinner table. These wealthy Romans, like Caecilius, could even afford to import expensive ingredients from around the empire and further abroad. The Romans even concocted an ancient form of cocktail called a calda, made of warm water, wine and spices brought from India. Overall, the wider Roman economy at this time was also heavily influenced by the food that the average Roman ate. The entire Roman economy was agrarian and focused on bringing grain from the big grain-producing regions of Carthage and Egypt to the port of Ostia, about 20 kilometers from Rome. Grain was a key political tool for many leaders of the empire, who dealt out substantial grain doles, such as Julius Caesar, who did this when he came to power, to feed the poor citizens and curry their favour. In return, these regions of Italy exported vast quantities of wine and olive oil along the ancient Silk Road that led to the Orient. Thank you for listening.